Dr. Anna Rosa.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today to have these conversations. I think are very important for people out there to get a lot of different aspects, different perspectives on certain things. You are very much involved as a radiologist, involved with metabolic health, and we are going to get into visceral fat, and I want to get into the GLP-1 thing today. But firstly, if you don't mind, I would I would like to see what kind of got you pulled into the metabolic health space. But before you answer that, I just wanted to say thank you and a shout out to you for hooking us up with Kyle from Keto is Key that you were involved with in the documentary. And we had a great interview with Kyle, and you were a very big part of that. And I want to say thank you for that, because I think that's going to be a great documentary for people to broaden our minds and open up our perspective. And I mean, I just saw something today where people are calling low carb, keto, carnivore, anything in the low carb, asinine and ridiculous. And I think we need to push back to show people that there is, a lot of people are doing some great things with healing. So how did you firstly get involved with metabolic health?
So, Tony, thank you so much for having me here back with you. It's always so good to be with you. You're such
Aw.
a great light and this big smile. And I am really grateful for Kyle and Caroline and the Keto is Key documentary, and Dr. Sean O'Mara, who brought me to this way of living, right? So I'm really grateful, because I believe it's over time that
Mm,
we talk louder and louder about the myths that we've learned and the things that we have not learned during
mm,
medical school and during our lives as lay people as well. So it's so important that we are spreading this more often. There comes Keto is Key documentary, there comes Cholesterol Cold, and also Healing Humanity documentary. So that's awesome that lots of people are coming together, because that's how I believe this should be a revolution for
mm,
health and life. So then people getting together and forming a coalition that we could definitely make changes happen. Like the pyramid of food, the food pyramid that changed. People are kind of upset that it didn't change too much. Anything changes 100% in a beat, right?
yeah.
So it's slowly but surely we get the results we want. I got to the metabolic health journey because of my health, my own health. So my husband died in 2016 from colon cancer stage 4. At that time, I was 226 pounds with depression, with suicidal ideation, with broken, shattered, not seeing any light, working and eating my pain, numbing my grief, my anger. And at some point, I got to remember my grandma teaching me about God when I was 7 years old, and I didn't lose connection with God when my husband was sick and dying, but it's just that everything was so heavy, was so unbearable, was so like difficult. I was barely breathing. The house felt it was closing on me, that I kind of like detached from life. And at that point, I got to reconnect with God in my heart, and I started researching from grief. And I started healing from grief, doing the work that it's for life, as the same of health is a work for life. Some
Mm,
days are more difficult, some days are less difficult. And in 2020, I got to meet Sean O'Mara, Dr. Sean O'Mara, and we worked together. And he brought to my awareness as a radiologist the importance to describe visceral fat in my reports. He brought to my awareness how visceral fat is a biomarker that is way before, that happens way before all the consequences that we discuss, because we
mm,
discuss prediabetes, diabetes, dementia, cancer, cirrhosis, fibrosis. We discuss all these horrible things that are happening, but we forgot to look back and discuss the one of the main causes, which is the biomarker visceral fat inflammation, insulin resistance,
mm,
right? So he brought that to my attention, and I started describing it, and I started doing the strategies on my own health.
mm,
uh, but until 2023, I was still like a yo-yo, lose weight, gain weight, keto, carnivore, keto, low carb, paleo, Dr. Eric Gerb, Dr. Ken Berry, everything mixed in my brain, and me trying as a doctor to organize what I felt better with, what was more comfortable, right? And I was always in this yo-yo pattern because I kept eating my triggers, my pain, my emotional hunger, right?
Mm.
And that's when God came to me again and he said, "Hey, Anna, uh, you know that work you're doing for grief, that you have to walk through the pain, that you have to question the false stories, that you have to question the beliefs, that you have to pause before you take an action, that you have like to reframe, that you have to reshift the perspective. Yes, darling, that's the same work you're going to do to lose weight and build sustainable success."
That's right.
And that's when I started, before opening the fridge, asking myself, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Or do you need a hug? And that's why I
Yeah.
say, everybody, I'm sending a hug from my heart
Mm.
to you. Because many times all we need is a hug. And this hug comes from us, right?
Mm.
Taking care of us and becoming our best friends. So that's when metabolic health came to my life. And
Yeah.
I started learning more and more and working with Sean in a certain way, and researching for me and getting certified as menopause coach, grief coach, blah, blah, blah coach. But everything is from my heart and everything is just really connecting because we have so much knowledge today.
Mm.
Knowledge, getting getting to the knowledge is not the problem. The problem is that the knowledge is too much and too noisy. So we need to choose a few
Mm.
of the knowledge that works with us, the people that resonate with us, and then we need to start following the knowledge with awareness in your body and taking action and decision. Because if you have the knowledge is power, like you said. But awareness is when you connect the knowledge to how you're feeling in your body, because some knowledge will be awesome for you and will have no benefit for me, and vice versa, right? And
Yeah.
then when I have the awareness in my body, I get the knowledge and the awareness and I start taking action. So awareness is freedom in recognizing what knowledge is meaningful for me, and action is when I walk through the door and I
Mm.
start changing my destiny, right? Yes.
That's beautiful. And like a lot of people, what I find too is you're right. Like there's so many, even coming from the same sort of foundation, there's so many different people, personalities, and it's so important to what you said. Even when you're finding a coach, when you're finding a practitioner, when you're finding a clinician, who you resonate with, you kind of have an idea, and if somebody pulls you into it, and because you listen to one influencer or one opinion, and then you just get pulled apart, and it's really
Yes.
really crazy. A lot of people, like, I get questions all the time, like, well, what about this, what about this, and it's like, well, this is the door, it's opened. Now you find for yourself what makes you, what strikes something inside, and that's I think
Exactly.
part of the awareness side of it.
Yes. And it's like, like when my husband got diagnosed with cancer in 2013, and I am a doctor and he was a physician assistant. We, and it's the same thing with the knowledge, and that's why I'm making the comparison. We went to the doctor who gave us the diagnosis. It was really bad because it was stage 4. That was at the University of Minnesota. Then we went to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota because we wanted a second opinion, right? And then some things were a little bit discrepant, but
Mm.
both of them offered, talked to us about a treatment that was being done in New York at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which is as important, same importance as MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas, right? So there we go. We went to New York and we got the third opinion.
Mm.
So, and then we sat down and we discussed our options. We discussed what resonated with us. We discussed with whom we felt better, because maybe I have more knowledge than you, suppose. But if John is talking to you and to me, but John likes you better, my knowledge is not going to help John, because the rapport is very important for
Yeah.
everything in life. So that's when we decided. So there is a lot of information in the internet. There is a lot of information. But the thing is, evaluate the information. Write down, grab a pen and paper. Old school. Old school is important.
Put the energy in it.
Old school has been proven by neuroscience. That's what connects to your brain, makes your brain think.
Yeah.
Rational thinking, right? So you write down what resonates with you, and then you choose which ones I want, and then you choose what community you want to belong more, what people you want to be closer to them more, because community is very important to keep you going, right? To
Mm.
keep you encouraged, for you to create a challenge together. Let's do a fasting together. You borrow energy from me, I borrow energy from you, right?
That's beautiful, because that's that's what I found with these communities. I think this is where we could go a lot of places, because I mean, whether you want to call it a dark night of the soul or an awakening or something that happens in your life that compels you to do something, to make a change, it's really, really interesting when you find people together, because for myself, in my journey, I was alone. I felt, even though there was so much information online and so much information on YouTube and internet, taking lectures, reading books, that it was very isolating, especially when you start to realize your health is in your own hands, and what you do, who you associate with, they are not going to understand, which is wild. When you we say it all the time, you eat Doritos and drink Coca-Cola your whole life, no one has one problem with it. No one says ever anything. You say, I'm cutting out carbohydrates for 7 days, and they're like, you need them. You can't do that. That's gonna, or you eat meat for 7 days, and they say, that's gonna give you a heart attack. It's wild to see what happens. So the community side, it's a beautiful thing. And I mean, we've been, this is where maybe we can tie it into the keto is key.
Yeah.
Because there is, when we were interviewing Kyle and how he came about this with his battle with losing his mother from cancer, and an aggressive, dangerous, well, obviously they're all dangerous, but the glioblastoma, that's not a very good diagnosis. If that happens, that's, it's pretty tough. And for him to come into this, and almost in honor of his mother, to try and put all of you guys together.
Yes.
Like the 11 doctors that they interviewed in the Keto is Key all have this commonality, that they care, for what I've witnessed, not being a doctor, and you guys all being in the medical industry, if you will, all came to this from your own paths. Like, it wasn't taught in medical school. No. And that's something from a layman, from a not in the doctor or the medical system, looking at that, the outliers like yourself that are like, wait a minute, why are they arguably jeopardizing their career, their reputations, in order to push a message that is, and if you look deeper than ketosis, the message is metabolic health. And your little avenue into metabolic health with visceral fat is so important. And for anybody that's just tuning in, if you've heard anything from Dr. Ana Rosa, if you want, like, our interview with her on the Meat of the Matter, get into a little bit, but we didn't get into visceral fat. And for everybody, can you explain what is visceral fat, and how many different fats are there?
Absolutely. So the what starts happening in our body is, I'm gonna grab the images here. Hold on.
Yeah.
I just thought about this yesterday, and I didn't leave the images here, but it's here on my hands. So visceral fat is an inflammatory fat. So there are some types of fat in our body. There is the fat beneath the skin. Hold on one second, I'll show you. And that was me in 2016 when my husband died. I was 226 pounds, very sick, and even suicidal. So that is here. Okay. So that's an MRI of your abdomen at the level of the belly button. Okay. So this is the skin. So beneath the skin, below the skin, up to the muscle, you have two types of subcutaneous fat. You have the first layer, which is superficial subcutaneous fat, and it's a good fat. It produces adiponectin, which helps and protects your cardiovascular system. And then you have the deep subcutaneous fat that is below the scarpus fascia, that is not showing very well here, but it's below the scarpus fascia. And the deep subcutaneous fat from the scarpus fascia until the muscle, and the one below the muscle that is the visceral fat, all this white here. So everything that is white is fat. So the superficial subcutaneous is not bad, and then the deep subcutaneous fat together with the visceral fat and together with the fat surrounding your heart here in the chest, these three fats are bad for your body. Why? Because these three fats are producing molecules called cytokines, mainly interleucin 1, 6, tumor factor necrosis alpha. And these cytokines, they produce an inflammation cascade. It's a vicious cycle that produces visceral fat, is related with insulin resistance, high levels of insulin. It's related with high glucose, prediabetes, diabetes. It's related with fatty liver disease, and I will explain soon. Elevated triglycerides, and releases all these molecules, and then also releases cortisol. So visceral fat comes from all this and increases all this. So it's a vicious cycle, one feeding the other, right? And the inflammation goes through our whole body, through the arteries and the lymphatic system, but mainly the arteries, right? That's why we damage the endothelial, the wall of the arteries, the aorta, the carotids, the cerebral arteries, the kidney arteries, right? So at this moment, we start having inflammation in our brain, which is the insulin resistance, diabetes type 3. That is the dementia, one type of dementia, because we have dementia from deposit of abnormal protein, which is also related to inflammation, which is Alzheimer's. And we have dementia from endothelial arterial damage, which is the small vessel ischemic disease. And then the visceral fat. So then we have, you are eating all the junk food, right? So your liver, in theory, it's supposed to be bright like that, okay?
Yeah.
When you are eating all this junk food, your liver is trying to metabolize all the sugar from the carbs, the alcohol, the sugar, the processed foods, the ultra processed foods, the vegetable oils, and yeah. So your liver is trying to process all that, metabolize all that. So the liver starts making sugar become fat inside the liver cells. And see how this is very dark. So it's completely different from this one, right? So one is normal and the other one has a lot of fat, which is the fatty liver.
So that's what I was gonna actually ask you. So someone, when they get their liver tested or whatever, and someone has a fatty liver, this is the visceral fat.
No, this is the fat in the liver.
Okay.
But this is probably the beginning, or maybe it's already happening, the visceral fat as well. But everything starts here in your liver. Your liver starts trying to protect you from all the junk food, sugar, alcohol, processed foods, everything, right? So your liver tries to metabolize all these and gets all the sugar, the glucose, and makes triglycerides and makes other forms of fat, and everything is stored here in the liver cells.
Okay,
And
de
that's
novo
when the liver
lipogenesis? Is that de novo lipogenesis?
Yes. So that's when the liver starts producing fat it starts storing fat in the hepatocytes.
Okay.
And then at some point, it has hepatic steatosis grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And then until there, you could reverse. But then you have fibrosis,
Okay.
And then you have cirrhosis, and then you could have liver cancer because of that, which is all related to metabolic associated liver disease.
Okay.
Okay. But when the liver in this process that is progressing, right? When the liver says, I don't function normally anymore, I cannot take care of all this sugar. So then the fat starts being released in the blood cell as triglycerides. And then you
Okay.
have elevated triglycerides and low LDL and low HDL. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you have elevated triglycerides, that's when your body is kicking in to produce visceral fat.
Okay.
So the triglycerides are the source for visceral fat production. So the
Mm.
visceral fat, the cells in your belly, first they increase in size up to 300 times the volume of them. And after that, they start increasing in number. So that's when you start producing visceral fat. But at the same time, because one thing is connected to the other, you are having liver dysfunction with abnormal function in the receptors of the cells of your whole body. So the liver is not being able to manage all the glucose. The glucose is increasing in your blood, prediabetes, diabetes. The pancreas receives the signal that the body needs insulin because the glucose is rising. But the problem is the receptors of the cells are not working anymore because of insulin resistance. So you start having high glucose. The pancreas can't fix the high glucose because it's a receptor problem. So then you have insulin resistance, and then you have liver function abnormalities, elevated triglycerides, elevated cortisol, and then you have inflamed cholesterol. Because
Okay.
your cholesterol, when you do not have inflammation, is a blessing.
Mm.
Your cholesterol is a precursor of all the hormones you have in your body. Your cholesterol is a source, is a prime source for everything you need in your body, right?
Mm.
Including your sexual hormones. So you don't want low cholesterol, otherwise you're gonna have sexual problems as well. But anyway, it's not the cholesterol that is a problem. It's the inflamed cholesterol, which is
Mm.
all this cascade of inflammation. So you have all this fat surrounding your heart, and this fat is giving inflammation in your coronary arteries that start first with the endothelial damage, then soft tissue plaque, and then calcified plaque. That is what people are trying to see in the coronary calcium CT scan. But as you can see, it's the end of the line.
It's the end, exactly.
It's the end
And
of the line.
that's where, a lot of times when I'm trying to explain, this is like a everybody puts these things into one single thing, whether it's, like I have
You
insulin
can't.
resistance. It's a perpetuating cycle that is sort of just keeps
Yep.
on. And
You
if
can't.
you're going the wrong way, you're in trouble. If you can get it
Yep.
back, and that's what I wanted to talk about as well, is visceral fat. Now, how do we, when people
Oh, and let me
lose?
show just one more thing. Since I
Sure.
already showed the heart and I already showed the belly, this is the visceral fat, not the visceral fat. This is the result of the visceral fat inflammation in your brain.
Okay.
So you start losing brain volume. This gray here should be together. You shouldn't be seeing
Hmm.
any white.
So
But
it's almost
because
like a
the
leaky
brain is
brain.
shrinking, you
Yeah.
are having all this white here widened. So then it's cerebral volume loss, which is
Wow.
important because when you age, you don't want to lose your brain because you don't want to lose your memory, your focus, your attention, your power of decision,
Hmm.
right? And what happens in these vessels, in these arteries that I said that the inflammation is damaging them, is that they get occluded, right? They start
Hmm.
getting occluded because of the soft tissue plaques. When they get occluded, the small ones way down in the line that are already inside your brain, they are called small vessel ischemic disease. Ischemic because the blood is not getting where it's supposed to get. And it's kind of you having a stroke, but a micro stroke, a minor stroke, not minor, micro, on
Yeah.
your white matter. So all this here should be gray, and you can see all these blobs, all these
Hmm.
white balls here. These white balls are microinfarcts that are called
Oh.
due to small vessel ischemic disease that are related to inflammation that is related to visceral fat and insulin resistance and high blood sugar, And this is the vascular dementia, that it's not completely reversible, but you can stop the progression and improve some of it. The brain atrophy, definitely you are able to improve, especially people who eat meat, because it has vitamin B12 that is important. And the dementia, the vascular dementia, gives you like altered memory, altered speech, altered gait, and also urinary incontinence. So, and the muscle with fat, right? We don't want muscles with fat either, because it's the sarcopenia, and then you are not independent, and then you don't have strength. And the main cause and the main complaint that people talk about in nursing homes, it's not the lack of memory. It's because people go to pee and go to poop, and they are not able to get up from the toilet. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, that tells me that, like, you know, a lot of people, when we're looking at the lifestyle tests, you know, people, when they get into their 30s, 40s, 50s, they go get their cholesterol, their lipids done, obviously their blood panel done. It's and then obviously blood pressure. But what I'm gathering from what you're saying is it's further back than that. Those are just symptoms. They're just effects of what is actually happening. And that's, you know, arguably the visceral fat. It's a good indication of a lot of other things.
And that's why your provider, it's so important that we are able to bring awareness on that, because it's so important to have a metabolic health protocol that would have the MRI, right? The MRI of the abdomen, because the radiology is the gatekeeper. We are going to see visceral fat. We are going to see fat in your liver. We are going to see fat in your pancreas. We are going to see fat surrounding your heart way before, maybe way before that your blood tests will be abnormal.
Okay.
You know, the blood test might be completely normal or just slightly elevated, but you are going to be the person, the TOFI, right? The person who is
thin on the inside,
thin outside and fat inside, the fake skinny, the fake healthy person, right? And then, but you're going to have visceral fat, and your blood test might be normal, but the visceral fat will be an alert, like, hey, it's time to take action before it gets worse.
Wild. And well, that's arguably to say about, you know, diabetes. I was pre-diabetic, but
Yeah,
that was
me
happening.
too.
That was happening 25 years ago. Well, arguably when I was a child eating cereal, but you know, that whole progression, the diagnosis of diabetes, that's not the disease. The disease is happening. You know, it's so a lot of people wait for this, you know, they get a blood test and they just wait for these markers to, well, we got to watch it. Well, what's watching it? You know, like.
Yes. I was pre-diabetic too in 2022, 2023. And I was just, as a doctor and a person that would lose weight, gain weight, I was just like, well, my grandma had diabetes. Probably it's just my fate, right? And until 2023, I had never had an insulin fasting test. That's when I asked for the insulin fasting test, and I got to know that my insulin was higher than 10. So definitely I was like extremely inflamed with insulin resistance. And all my other markers were abnormal, the homocysteine, the high sensitivity CRP. And I had to check vitamin D3, vitamin B12, everything was abnormal. So it's really important that the annual follow-ups with your doctor would include these tests to make sure that you are in the right path, and maybe like include a bioimpedance or include a DEXA scan to see, yes, now I am in the right trajectory. I am losing fat and gaining muscle and gaining weight. Because when you start gaining muscle, gaining weight, gaining bone, because when you start gaining muscle and gaining bone, you are going to gain weight in your scale and you might freak out, but it's a good gaining weight, right?
That's what I want to talk to you about that, because I've heard you say this before and I want to just reiterate this. A lot of people, when they change and they're starting to feel good, their metabolic health, they might have had a little bit of success on the scale, so to speak, but then they get a plateau. And most people freak out because nothing's happening. But, you know, I get clients even like where their friends and family are saying, wow, you look so slim, or you look thinner, you look healthy. And then they say, but I haven't lost any weight. What do you say to that? Like, I know
No.
what.
So I would say, when this person here starts doing the strategies to get better, that's going to be a huge improvement. If this person, the effort you put is the result that you get, right? The more strict, the better your results, right? So when this person really puts the effort to get better, what's going to happen is that probably in the first month, there will going to be like a huge drop in pounds in the scale, on the scale, maybe like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And this person is going to be so happy. And that's awesome. Celebrate because you are putting the effort. But these 20 pounds, a lot of them, I don't want to say all of them, but a lot of them are going to be water, are going to be inflammation. These pounds are going to be inflammation because carbs retain water.
Yeah.
So when you stop eating carbs, you're going to lose the acute inflammation because visceral fat is chronic inflammation. You're going to lose the acute inflammation and you're going to look better because all this water is going to get out of your body, right? It's like premenopause. It's like women when they are having their cycle, that it's close for them to get their period, that they get pain in their breasts and bigger breasts and this sensation that they are bloated. This is all water, right? The inflammation, the acute inflammation from getting closer to have their period. So that's the same thing that happens in the beginning. Then you continue, and then it's going to get slower and slower, right? The results are going to get slower and slower to show up, but they are going to show up there. But there will be a point that you're going to step in the scale and you're not going to see any results. And this could last for 3 months, 6 months, even more.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that you are following with a bioimpedance, or that you are following with measuring your measures in your body, or close, and also paying attention to other non-scale victories, right? Which is the level of energy, the level of focus, attention, cognition, and your sleep that is going to be better, the cravings that are going away, and focusing like, am I looking leaner? Am I looking leaner? Because this plateau, it occurs for one main reason. In the beginning, your body lost the acute inflammation. Then it starts working on the chronic inflammation. It starts working on all these vicious cycle steps, reaction steps that we discussed, and it is healing slowly but surely. Like, I took 53 years sick, inflamed, right? And then I took 10 months to go from here to here. It is a lot. People want this to be faster. And I'm not healed here, okay? I still have lots of visceral fat and I still have lots of deep subcutaneous fat. But why did it take too long? So this is not even the beginning, okay? So there is another, so it takes too long because, remember, you are only focusing on the weight, and you are focusing a little bit on the visceral fat, and you are focusing a little bit on the muscle mass if you are doing the density, the DEXA scan or the bioimpedance. But your body is decreasing the insulin, decreasing the blood sugar, normalizing your liver function test, improving your cortisol, improving the inflammation in your vessels, improving the inflammation in your brain. So it's like you had a party for 53 years. Everything is dirty, damaged, compromised. You know, the bulbs of the house are broken, and there is lots of garbage, and the grass in the yard is completely damaged. So before the house looks good again, you have to hire someone to change the bulbs. That's the insulin, right? You have to hire someone to take care of your yard. That's the glucose. You have to hire someone to clean the trash and then mop the house and then vacuum, right? And that's the liver function. the brain inflammation, the inflammation in your gut, your microbiome. After all this gets around 70 to 80% organized, that's when your body is going to say,
Yeah.
now it feels less heavy, and now we can start working on the other things. And that's when your body, at the same time that it's still taking care of the rest of the house that is damaged, right? But it's 80% better. So that's when your body says, okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of the workers here, and they are going to start decreasing the fat surrounding the heart. That's the first fat that goes away. So that's my heart. That's my heart. There's no more fat. The first fat that goes away is the fat surrounding your heart, because that's the fat that leads to heart attack, fulminant heart attack, which is what happened with people who believe they are healthy because they are thin outside, fat inside, but they have lots of fat surrounding their heart, and they don't take any action because they are running. It's not that they don't take any action. They believe they are healthy, unfortunately. So they are running, and they are drinking, and they are not sleeping well, and they have a life that it's super stressful, and they eat at wrong times, and they don't fast, and they eat all the time, and they eat processed foods because they don't have time to cook properly, right? So then they die from a heart attack. Is exactly. So after the house is 80% clean inside, then we go to other specific areas, because the cleaning was general. Now it goes to specific areas. Now we are going to clean the fat surrounding the heart. We are going to clean the fat in the visceral fat inside your belly, and then we are going to go to the deep subcutaneous fat. So you can see that the visceral fat is better, because after the heart, the visceral is the second worst, but the deep is still a lot. Because it's not the most important yet. So we go to the visceral, but if you look here, at a certain point that your visceral fat, your bad fat goes to a value, again, the body, right? Suppose you decreased 70% of your visceral fat. So then the body is telling, okay, the people who are working there in the insulin that finally got normal, the glucose that finally got normal, the liver function test that finally got normal, I'm recruiting you to help with the muscles. And you, who is still working in the heart and the belly, keep working here, because we still have work. And then after that, you start working on the deep, okay? Okay. But then some of the recruiters went to the muscle, so you start building muscle. So you can see that this is lots of white fat in the muscle, and it's very thin. But here, it's darker because it's muscle, not fat, and it's thicker. See the difference? So it took me 10 months to start building muscle.
So you could say, realistically, when the body comes into balance and safety, it starts to let go of what's no longer needed, no longer required.
Yes.
And you could say that from the opposite side, like the visceral fat, the liver fat, the heart fat, it's dangerous. So it kind of, it's because, like, really body fat, it's potential energy. There's what other reason would we be to have to store it? Excessive energy. When a body's trying to survive and not safe, it's going to hold on to things. And then as it releases, it's the hardest thing to explain to, especially, like, I have a few clients that are late women over 60 that they think that nothing's happening. And it's like, everything's happening all the time. And, and it's like, we've got there over, like you mentioned, 53 years, me 50 years, like 45 years of my life was completely unaware of anything. And then, the last 5-6 years, so many things have happened. It's hard for me to actually, I wish I did when I started, when writing down things that resolved, but it's exactly that. Like, when my body was safe, things started getting better. And that's dandruff. That was.
And after you damaged your body for 53 years, if it takes 2 years, it wasn't 2 years, but if it takes 2 years to get like this, it's less than 10% of the time. So you got to give your body a chance, and you got to give your body praise from refilling that fast, because you know, it should have taken like 10 years,
Yeah.
right? And it took less than 2. Yes. And
And
that's
and
exactly what you're saying. It's like you are at war. When you start doing these strategies, you are at war with the
Mhm.
inflammation. So
Yeah.
you have to organize your guns. You have to organize your bags. You have to organize your supplies. And that's your body organizing the insulin, organizing the liver function test, organizing the glucose, organizing the cortisol. And that's why I like for people to have, that's why I would say that it would be awesome for people to have an MRI at the beginning, so then they can see the quality, the quantity, the type of fat they have. And then they also have a DEXA scan or or a bioimpedance. And then they have the blood tests.
Mhm.
Okay, the blood test, the liver, the insulin, the blood sugar, and the inflammatory markers. Then you're going to leave this MRI to repeat like maybe in 9 months or a year. But
Yeah.
in 3 months, do it, do it, do it. And then in 3 months, you repeat the blood tests, at
Mhm.
least the insulin and the blood sugar, and one CRP high sensitive, because
Yeah.
you're going to be that it's coming down. It will still be high, and then it's most likely. And then
Mhm.
in 6 months, and then in 9 months, or 4, 8, 12. Okay. And at that point, probably, and then when it starts normalizing, when it gets down from the high level, you will see the difference in the amount. You will see a faster difference. But if
Mhm.
you give up before, you didn't give your body a chance.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of times we either have something in our head that everything's going to happen now, or we rely on a marker and we die on the sword by it. And I think like what you're saying is all this data in your body is telling a story.
Yeah.
And if you can sort of take it as a chapter and progress to a place where you're seeing things happen, all of a sudden those markers start to become a little bit more um,
Yeah.
manageable because you understand what's going on. And I think a lot of times, especially, me being in Canada, I know our blood testing average, that's not the healthiest people. So if you're just relying on the blood marker, that takes nothing of your health, your status, your stress levels, your life in consideration. It just measures you against the average Canadian. I guess with you in the States, it's the
Same
same
thing
thing.
in Brazil, the same thing in India, the same thing. Yeah. So no, you should rely in the blood tests when you have the knowledge that you want your insulin, when you have the knowledge of what markers you want low and what markers you want high.
Yeah.
Because you want high your vitamin D3, you want high your vitamin B12, you want higher magnesium
Yeah.
to the higher, and you everything the other ones that we said you want low.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's when you, like, for example, my last blood test, my HDL was high. My blood test uh, flagged me saying that it was
Too
abnormal.
high.
I don't
Yeah.
care if my HDL
Yeah.
is high abnormal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I know that the HDL is the hero. So I
Yeah.
want it abnormal high,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So that's why it's important for you to have the knowledge, but a knowledge that does not have noise. You want
Mm.
pure knowledge. You want knowledge with wisdom, knowledge with guidance, knowledge with clarity, right?
Yeah. And a lot of times if you just, like what I found is even when I take on clients, what I'm actually trying to teach them is how to think, is how to manage themselves in this context of, what like good, better, best situations, like not necessarily like black or white, but
Yep.
once you start to get into it, if a lot of people, like what I find, especially with like a high blood pressure is a good example, is they don't get any explanation on what it is. They don't get any explanation on the possibilities of what is causing it. They just get told if you don't take this medication. But if it's that important to you or whatever's happening, the information's there. There's people like Dr. Anna Rosa that can explain things, and it's really, really cool. Once you start getting into your own body, it becomes fun, and
Mhm.
healing
Oh,
becomes
yeah.
inspiring, and I
Yeah.
think we focus on so much of the results on the scale that a lot of people don't realize that it's a journey, and the body is doing so many things all at the same time, especially with nervous system and stress. I mean, one day you can be up here, the next day you're down there, and
Yeah.
we're trying to practical our way through it. There's so much going on. So what you're saying with these markers and understanding them is you will be able to see it, like it tells a story, and your
Yes.
story is yours.
Yes, and that's why it's so important that you have the knowledge and start experimenting with yourself, like we discussed in the beginning. Like what works for Tony might not work for me, and vice
Yeah,
versa. But then I kind of experiment with myself and see what works better, what doesn't work at all, what doesn't work that well, but I can tweak a little bit and it's going to be better. And then
yeah,
it's fun. You make
yeah,
it fun, you make it easy, you stack habits, you stack strategies, and you just commit yourself to keep doing. You just
yeah,
commit yourself to keep doing, because there will be harder days, there will be easier days, but you keep doing. Like I say, do your best, no matter how much is your best. Because if you have a cold, if you didn't sleep well, your best is not going to be the best when you are completely recovered, right? But it's still your best, right? It's not
yeah.
about
And giving
all or
yourself
nothing.
grace. That's
Exactly. It's not all or
yeah,
nothing. It's just commitment with
yeah.
consistency and celebrating yourself.
Yeah. And what I like to see is, like I mentioned before, is the outliers, like the people that speak out against something, but that's not absolutes. I don't like absolutes. I don't like speaking absolutely. I mean, everybody's got their own lives to live. And, you know, trying to navigate this space, especially coming from a place of fear, that's what we want to empower people with, I think. And that's probably the message that the Keto is Key documentary
Yeah.
and your metabolic practice is empowering people to make these changes, because there is reasons, there is
And
and
you can make these changes. Well, first of all, losing weight is not difficult. Many people are going to say, "Oh, yes, it is." And I agree
yeah,
with you, it is. But at
yeah,
the same time, it's not. Because you
mm,
know what's difficult? It's keeping the weight loss,
yeah,
keeping the reversing disease,
mm,
keeping the commitment with yourself.
yeah,
And that's why you need to build a path that you have a community,
mm,
and you are questioning your false stories and your false beliefs that will help you build sustainable success and trust in yourself.
yeah,
And yes, doing the strategies is difficult, but it's way more difficult to end up in a nursing home and not be
totally.
able to stand up from your toilet seat.
Exactly. And I mean, like a lot of times when it's almost like people having a 5-year plan. They have a 5-year plan for finances, and they have a 5-year plan, but we were never taught as kids that your health is everything. And even if we knew, for yourself and myself, knowing what we know about our bodies and our metabolic health now, wow, if I could have been just
Oh
even
my God.
50% better my whole life, it would have been way different. And I've
Yes.
seen, like yourself, I mean, I've lost 70 pounds. I was pre-diabetic. I've reversed all these things. People tell me that it's me, oh man, you must be so lucky. And it's
No,
like, this has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do
we
with
are
it.
ordinary people. We are ordinary
Yeah.
people that are living the day, be, abiding to our choices.
Mm,
You choose, everything you choose has a consequence. And that's why it's so important to have the reason inside of you. Because when
mm,
my reason was like, I just want to look better and fit in a size 12 pants, since I am in a size 18, I'm not against that. It's awesome to look good, right? But that's a superficial why. That's a
mm,
why that does not keep you on the track if something really, really hard hits you, like when I was having a horrible stress at work. It
mm.
does not. Looking better does not keep you on the
No.
on track. But then I looked back and I saw that I was pre-diabetic and I had asthma and I fell from the stair in my apartment and I fainted and I'm like, man, my grandma died from diabetes type 2. She was blind. She had a heart attack and she died. My mom had ovarian cancer, which is one of the cancers related to visceral fat, and died. I
Mm.
had cancer, and fortunately I'm doing better, but I had cancer myself. My husband died from one of the cancers that are related to visceral fat, and he was diagnosed in a super young age. It wasn't even in the age that is expected for cancer. So I'm going to do that because they already carried all the weight of the curses. And I am putting
Mm.
this generational curse on the floor, and I'm going to build different in honor and respect to them and to me.
Yeah.
And then, after all that, I had started, but I went to visit my dad. He had lots of visceral fat too. And he had this brilliant brain. He was a surgeon, and he fell and he broke his hip. And
Mm.
he didn't recover because his body did not have muscle.
Mm.
His body only had visceral fat.
Yeah.
Fat. His body only had fat. And he died. And when I looked at him, I came back from Brazil and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of lying to myself that I'm doing this correctly because I was in the yo-yo pattern, right?
Mm.
And here I am sitting in front of this computer as a radiology workaholic. Either I'm numbing my problems with work or I'm numbing my problems with food. So I'm kind of following his path.
Mm.
And that's when I really grabbed to my why, put it inside my heart, and that's what helps me with sustainable success.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have diabetes like my grandma. I don't
Mm.
want to have cancer again. I don't want to die like my mom and my husband, but definitely, 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 I don't want to die like my dad.
Yeah.
Like my mom and my husband had cancer, but my dad, his death was way worse because his body just failed him.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to a lot of people, especially like my mom's now 80, and we've sort of done some really good things with her diet. I'm very proud of her. But a lot of her friends, like that's what you said there about like the visceral fat, and it makes sense. Like we've all heard, like if you break a hip, that's it's the beginning of the end.
Yes.
But I completely agree with you, because if you are holding on to your muscle as long as you can, you understand that this is protein, and these your metabolic health matters. And quite often these injuries happen when you're not expecting them. You
Yes.
slip off a curb, or you trip on your something in your house. Or you trying to get out of the bath. And if you look at the patterns of those, what they all have in common is probably your reaction time is, obviously you're getting a little older, but the frailty, whether your bones are
Yep.
soft, osteoporosis,
And I
osteopenia.
have And I have a completely different story in my own family. Like my godmother, she's my mom's oldest sister. She's going to be 90 now on April 12th. And when she was 85, she broke her hip, and they only got to see that she broke her hip because she complained of pain. She fell. She was still walking. She was still walking around the city in a bus. So
Wow.
then when she was getting out of the bus, the driver moved before she was completely out of the bus and she fell. And she was
Mm.
85 at this time. So she complained of pain and they went and they did an x-ray. They couldn't see anything. And then they did an MRI and they saw that she had a line fracture that wasn't displaced. At 85, she had a line fracture. At 85, her bone mass is normal
Wow.
because she walks every day more than 10,000 steps in the sun.
Yeah.
Not anymore,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Now that she's
No.
closer to 90, she really
Mm.
got like, she gets confused. So, unfortunately, my cousins are not allowing her to walk alone. They should be walking with her. But
Mm.
anyway, she broke her hip and there was no problem at all. In a month, there was nothing there anymore. It was completely recovered in the MRI. And my dad, who was 80, he broke his hip, like a comminuted fracture. That is one fracture that impacts in the other, and that has so many fragments that you can't even say where the fragments are going to. And he died. And that's what happens with elderly people, because hip fractures is they have high morbidity, which is
Yeah.
making your life miserable, and high mortality, which is the death because of it.
Yeah.
But see the difference. My grandma
And the
had
muscle.
such good bone mass and muscle that she didn't even she was barely she would let it go. If it wasn't hurting her a little bit, she would have
Yeah.
let it go. My dad died.
Yeah. Mm.
And I know
Oh,
this is a
man.
soul
Yeah.
plan too, but like, no, your muscles give you independence. Your muscles allow you to stand from your chair. Your muscles allow you to like walk, travel, play with your kids, you know. Yeah.
And a lot of people, they associate muscle with weightlifting and gym and you bigger. It's so much more. Like it's the metabolic side of muscle and just holding on to your muscle as long as you can to be functional, like you say,
Yes.
independent. But and walking, like so many people don't understand the power and the magic and the just walking, how what
Yes,
it
just
does.
walking. And one thing that you're saying, and that's so good, if you can have a weighted vest.
Yes.
When you are walking, get a weighted vest because it's good for your muscles and your bones too.
Mhm.
Not in the beginning. If you are beginning,
Yeah.
begin. It's always a progress, right? So begin walking and then you could have a weighted vest because, like, muscle is good. When you contract your muscle, it is good because you are building muscle mass, increasing your metabolism. So you're going to lose weight. The people
Yeah.
who only worry about losing weight, you're
Mhm.
going to lose weight. And then you are also producing microtraumas in your bones, which improve the bone mass. And
Mhm.
improving the bone mass, you decrease the risk of fracture. And then the muscle produce myokine, the bones produce osteokine. There is a specific myokine called irisin that is important for mood, molecules of hope. It's
Interesting.
important for depression, anxiety, sadness, PTSD, and it also helps like with brain volume because it increases the production of BDNF, and BDNF
Mm.
is brain derived neurotropic factor. So it's going to
Yeah.
increase the volume of your brain. So just by moving your calves.
Mhm.
And if you don't say, I don't have time to exercise, you work your legs, you work your lower extremities because the lower extremities
Everybody has time to
every
exercise.
time, every person has time. If you do like if you do it every 1 hour, if you do what Tony just said, you get up,
Calf
you
raises.
hold your head up, chair, and you do this with your calf slowly. Don't go fast,
Yeah.
slowly, and you do 10 times, and then you do like 10
Yeah.
squats. You probably wouldn't have spent 1 minute, maybe two, and you are already doing a lot for you, right?
Yeah.
And
I
it's so
mean, I have a theory, and I mean, it's usually it's like we just gotta move for one. Just movement is good, but sometimes moving faster and sometimes moving maybe a heavier and I'm not talking about lifting heavy weights, but
no,
the weight vest, and just being able to fire your muscles faster than
yes.
just stagnation,
And
right?
if you cannot go to the gym, just do what we just did. Do
Yeah.
your squats in your house, do the calf exercises in your house. The
Mhm.
calves are considered your second heart because when you are
Yes.
pumping the muscles from your legs, you are improving the blood venous return to the heart. So you are improving oxygenation, nutrient, mitochondria, energy. Oh, yeah. So you do your calves, you do your squats, and you do some push-ups. I'm still not good at push-ups, so I do push-ups in the wall or I do push-ups on my kitchen island, and then you could start going down, and then you
Yeah.
could do wall sits,
Yeah.
and then you could do some planks, and
Yeah.
then you could do some biceps and triceps. If you
Yeah.
don't have weights, that's fine. Do more
Yeah.
biceps and triceps without anything. but like always slow and stopping and going back and coming back. Never like dum 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 dum,
Yeah.
because that doesn't produce the results you want.
Yeah.
But see, we already had biceps and triceps and push-ups for your upper portion,
Yeah.
calf and wall sits and plank and what was the name? Squats for your legs, and then you do a plank.
Yeah.
And in 15 minutes, maybe in your house, or you have done something for you.
And that's another, like, the other side of it too, is like a lot of people, when you're thinking about exercise, we think of like, oh, I got to exercise. But you can do things, put some headphones on, listen to a podcast like this, maybe, some music, whatever, and just get into your own sort of space and
Tony,
exercise to your.
let's do an exercise.
Okay. What do you want to do?
You're going to say, oh, I have to. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what you should say. Okay.
Okay.
So
Oh,
exercise.
okay.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I have to.
No, you have to finish. I have to
Oh,
exercise.
I have to exercise.
Eat healthy. Go
Okay.
ahead. Play with
Oh, I
me.
have to eat healthy.
Drink water.
Oh, I have to drink water.
Enjoy the sun.
Oh, man, I have to enjoy the sun.
And walk.
I have to walk.
Now let's go. Keep going, okay?
Yeah.
Chemotherapy.
Oh, chemotherapy.
Surgery to remove my bowel.
Oh, surgery to remove my bowel. It's hard to even say it.
Radiation therapy.
Oh, radiation therapy.
Get a shower with the nurse showering me.
Oh, get a shower with the nurse showering me.
Wait a second, Dr. Rosa. I don't even know what you said. Wait a second, ma'am. Who are you? I don't even know what you told me to do, right?
Yeah.
So what is worse?
Wow. And I'll tell you, the feeling in my body when I was just saying that, I don't know if it's because I kind of know what those things are, but it did not. It was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. That's wild.
13. At least 13 types of cancer are related to visceral fat for women, particularly in menopause: breast, ovarian, endometrial, and other types of uterus cancer.
Yeah.
Also, colon, pancreas, esophagus, stomach, leukemia, lymphoma, thyroid. I might be forgetting some of them. Prostate. All these cancers have already been proven to correlate with visceral fat. Prediabetes, diabetes, cirrhosis, liver cancer, dementia, heart attack, stroke, Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis, autoimmune disorders, thyroiditis,
Every
uh,
single non-communicable disease.
psychiatric problems, epilepsy, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar get better with doing the strategies we are discussing. So what is
Okay, so
what is really worse here?
yeah.
Exercising or drinking water
Oh,
or enjoying the sun?
yeah. No kidding. Dr. Rosa, I have to ask you, what do you feel about people saying obesity is genetic?
I don't think obesity is genetic. I believe the genetic is the environment, because it's going to be really hard for a kid or a person to grow up in an environment eating healthier if their microbiome, since they were like 1 year old when they start eating food, 9 months, 12 months when they start eating food, they are eating sugar and the child food that it's horrible, applesauce. Apples. No, yeah. So like if you already have a microbiome, if you already got addicted, your taste got addicted, So how are you really going? Like it's not genetic, it's the environment, right?
Yeah.
If I am on a place that I only have meat to eat, I'm gonna
Mhm.
eat meat and I'm gonna like meat.
Yeah.
If I am on a place that I only have McDonald's, I'm gonna love McDonald's.
Yeah. So really what you're saying is if we can have thin on the outside, fat on the inside, we can have fat on the outside and be thin on the inside, working towards metabolic health. It doesn't really change your
Yeah.
predisposition body fat.
So this is a person that is fat on the outside and is becoming thin in the inside. I'm not thin in the inside yet, but I'm still fat on the outside.
Mm.
I've never been thin in the outside and fat in the inside, right? I've been fat, fat. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
with improvement, I got less fat and
Yeah.
still fat, right? So when you are doing the strategies and getting better, chances are for a while you are going to be more fat on the outside and getting thinner in the inside. And that's way better than being thinner on the outside and fat
Yeah.
in the inside. Because
100%.
the thinner on the fat inside is the metabolic unhealthy, while the fat outside still has the protection from the subcutaneous fat, superficial. Yeah.
So, what I've sort of gathered throughout my journey and my like talking to people and talking to, I don't want to say experts because that term is very, I don't know, I think it's too rigid, but specifically in metabolic health, it seems like it's even like the Keto is Key documentary, I think is an important message
Mhm.
here, is the treatment is the same as the prevention, is the same as the foundations. Like if you take all this into consideration, it's all
Yes.
happening. Just where you intervene with yourself eventually, I find a lot of people wait until they're desperate and then they just have this holy moment and then they have to do things because they're just, and where is if you just started from a child, from a
Yeah.
good habits, not eating applesauce, you
Yes.
know,
Well, it's everything is repetition, right? When I was doing my courses with Tony Robbins, he used to say repetition is the master of skills. Everything is repetition. So you muscle train is repetition. Your journaling is repetition. Your gratitude is repetition. Your hydration is repetition. Your fasting is repetition. The good eating healthy is repetition. The choices are repetition and they build your destiny, right?
mm,
So repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition is boring, and that's why it's important to stack the strategies as much as possible for them to become more who you are. Like I drink water while I'm walking and I'm also enjoying the sun and I'm also like connecting with some friends or listening to my Bible. I high five myself when I'm brushing my teeth. I finish my workout and I hug myself. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And never forgetting to celebrate, because people think, oh, that's so stupid, you're hugging yourself. That's when your brain understands, oh, she is telling me that she's going to do X, Y, and Z because it's important for her. And finally, she's shifting a behavior or of not showing up, and now she's following through. And I know that she's following through because she's celebrating. So you are building a different neural pathway, a different connection between your neurons, right? Yeah.
mm. That's so all these like doing, it's like you're just doing you want to be the best version of yourself, teaching yourself, being gracious to yourself. I think that's a huge takeaway. How are you for time right now?
I'm good.
Okay, yeah, well, because I love it. I love it when we talk because like I have so many things to ask you, but it seems to go down that place. Someone mentioned there might be an echo. How's my sound?
I know. I'm listening you really well.
Okay, yeah, I just looked. Uh oh, but well, anyway, we'll just continue. So we were talking about muscle and how important muscle is. Now, we had a little conversation about GLP-1s. I'm starting, this platform to help people, to bring awareness to, metabolic health side of GLP-1. Some people that are, I have a problem with the glorification and the celebrities saying how it's just do it. It's almost like this, don't even think about it, just this is great. And there is some serious things about them. They are a valuable tool in the right context, in the right nuance. But one thing that sort of ties what we've been talking about into them is if you go into the GLP-1 for whatever reason and you're not aware of how important muscle mass is and how important it is to lose visceral fat, you just go on a GLP-1, you start losing weight, but you haven't changed a thing. And I've personally seen that with somebody in my family. I watched them lose 16, and this was like 6 years ago, and I hadn't even heard of Ozempic. She went to a weight loss clinic, and a doctor prescribed her Ozempic. She continued eating McDonald's and Coke and lost 16 pounds. And I was like, there is something wrong with this. Like, whoa. So yeah, it worked. She lost weight, but I know now from what with my, research and my journey, that was horribly like disastrous. And I think the only reason she stopped was she was actually trying to get pregnant, and eventually did get pregnant, not on Ozempic. But what are your thoughts? Like, how are your thoughts? Because I know you mentioned a pretty good point about how they can be a tool, but I think we need to talk about that.
Yeah. So as a doctor and as a person, I believe that everything, and I'm not talking about the GLP-1s right now, I'm talking about everything in our lives has a good side and has a peaceful side and a painful side. It's how we take action with the tools and resources and the time that we have that will guide us to the painful side or the peaceful side, right? My grandma used to say that the innocent pay for the sinners, because a powerful tool like a GLP-1, if it's used, it has been used for, and it has been deviated a lot to the painful side. Because of that, it has become shameful. It has become like a guilty path, right? And people who are using are hiding. And especially the ones that are the innocents, they are hiding, right? So it is very important that we understand that it's not about what the tool or the resource is, about how we use it. So let's start from the beginning. GLP-1 should not be bad because we have it ourselves, right? So our body uses GLP-1.
It's like insulin. Insulin's not good or bad. It's just
we have it. We need it.
Yeah.
So if we go back to a person has a severe hypothyroidism, what do we do to this person? We give them thyroid hormones. We don't do more. We don't give more than it's needed. We don't give less than it's needed. We triage that person. We monitor that person for that person to have the specific amount for that person. And the amount for Joe is not going to be the amount for Craig, right? So that's why it's monitored. Same thing for diabetes type 1. They need insulin, right? So you have to give them insulin, proper insulin. Same thing for hormone replacement therapy for women in menopause. That was so criticized and became like shameful and guiltful and fearful. And now we know that it is needed, that everything was a myth, that the research papers were done with hormones that were produced by female horse urine, and that's why it was so bad. And we did only have estrogen that was from urine, so it was really bad. So, but still there is a lot of stigma and fear because of the gossip and of the bad, the painful direction, right? So GLP-1s, what is giving the GLP-1 the shame and the guilt? The painful direction. People who don't need GLP-1s, who are already normal weight, they want to be super skinny. People who
Mhm.
have eating disorders. So that's a problem because they are getting GLP-1s without prescription, right?
Mhm.
So it's a hormone. A hormone needs a prescription. A hormone needs a follow-up. A hormone needs to detect the dose that is good for you, detect for how long you need that dose, help you decrease the dose. And
Mhm.
maybe because I am researching that, you might be a person who will use a low dose for life.
Okay.
And some people are going to be like, what is she saying?
Yeah.
Yes, some people need thyroid hormone for life. Some
Mhm.
people are going to need
Well, yeah,
insulin
I
for life.
think that's the hardest part is it's nuanced. Like this is
Yes,
where what blows my
we are
mind about
learning.
this
We are
stuff.
learning, right?
Yeah.
So the painful portion were the people who started using without prescription in a way that it's not regulated or monitored. I don't want to say regulated, monitored
No.
correctly,
Yep.
properly to see how it's working in your body, and
Yeah.
without proper guidance. Some people are using GLP-1 as crutches. So
Yes.
let's go back. How many people lost weight with bariatric surgeries and they gain weight again? How many people lost weight with growth hormone and gained weight again? How many people lost weight with amphetamines when they were medication for weight loss? At least in Brazil, I don't know here because at that time I was in
I
Brazil.
think some people unintentionally do that, but yes.
Yeah, and they gained weight again, right?
Mhm.
And how many people lost weight by dieting and exercising and gained weight again or
Mhm.
didn't as well? So, what happens is every time you are working on losing weight, at some point, every time, it doesn't matter, you're going to lose some muscle mass in the beginning.
Mhm.
And then after that, you start gaining more muscle. You start gaining muscle mass again. Why? Because you start uh, taking care of the amount of protein, which is non-negotiable. And you start knowing that you have to do more muscle strength, muscle training, right? But what happens with GLP-1s is many people who are taking GLP-1s are morbid obese or are very obese and they don't want to exercise
Mhm.
or they can't even exercise yet, right?
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
you could move your arms, you could do your calves, maybe, I don't know, maybe you are on a bed, but so that led to a severe muscle mass loss, and that's hard to revert. Like we showed before, it
Mhm.
will revert if you put effort, and it will revert when the inflammation in your body would be way better, way better, way better, right?
Yeah.
So the people who are using GLP-1s, like the family member he has or a friend I have,
Mhm.
that they have diabetes type 2, they start doing a GLP-1 and we go for a brunch and this person is having pancakes and syrup.
Yeah.
That's the person who is using GLP-1 in a painful side. That's the person who is not taking action on working on building the sustainable success. And the sustainable success of that person not happening is not because of the GLP-1, is because that person is not questioning the triggers that lead to eating.
Yeah.
So that happen in everything, any other kind of diet. But that person is also not exercising. So that person is going to lose a lot of muscle mass. And who are we going to blame? The
Mhm.
GLP-1.
Yeah.
But that person would lose muscle mass if they would be using any kind of other medication as well to
Yeah.
lose weight, not only GLP-1s.
Yeah.
And again, there are the people that don't need the GLP-1s and are using it just to keep skinny.
Mhm.
Uh, and then we have the people who use the GLP-1s, and it's very helpful because it's not a crutch, but
Mhm.
it's a leverage. Like women in menopause who are completely suffering from lack of hormones, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. First
Yeah.
of all, they need to get these three fixed, and it's not one or the other. It's the three because you were born with the three. You need different amounts of the three, but progesterone is calming, grounding, sleep. Estrogen is memory, cognition, attention, focus. Testosterone is the strength, is muscle, is energy as well. So one is a balance of the three. Otherwise, you're going to be estrogen predominant, progesterone predominant, testosterone predominant, and you don't want any of that. You want a balance because that's how you were created by the creator with
Yes.
balance.
Yes.
So women in menopause, when they get GLP-1s and they make the commitment to use it, it's very helpful because it will decrease the inflammation markers faster together with the hormonal imbalance. But again, you have to monitor because you want to lose fat and you want this person to be doing everything that is necessary to keep stable in the beginning, but after start building muscle and bone. Okay. So for whoever is using GLP-1, my advice from what I have been studying is, first of all, monitor your blood markers every 3 to 4 months. And at the same time, you have a bioimpedance every 3 to 4 months, every 3 months. At the same time, you have a bioimpedance. And maybe
sorry, bioimpedance. You want to take a look at your tissues. What's happening with your tissues, right?
Yes.
That's what that means, right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. A bioimpedance is the one that you hold the bars and you are in the gym and it's cheaper, right? Okay. And then with 6 months, you could do a DEXA scan. Just to make sure. In general, the value of the numbers of the DEXA scan are very similar to the bioimpedance, but I would advise to do a DEXA scan every 6 months because it's $100. And if you are paying for GLP-1, you are able to pay for your DEXA scan. And you're going to be monitoring if the GLP-1 is being a leverage, a helpful leverage, or a crutch. If it's a crutch, you are going to the painful side. You don't want that. It's your choice, but you don't want that. But if it's a leverage, you are building muscle and you are building bone and you are losing fat. I would not recommend increasing the dose immediately. I would recommend starting with the lower dose as they start and giving it time because if you increase the dose, your body did not have the time, like the plateau time, right? So give it time. You don't need to lose all the weight in 3 months because that's when you are losing muscle mass. The lower you lose the weight on the scale, it means you are losing fat and building muscle. Always monitor the muscle and the bone. And for these people who are using GLP-1s in that way, I am there with you. Because I am reading things that GLP-1s, without being used in wrong doses, they are having really good benefits for mental health, for small vessel ischemic disease, for inflammation in your brain, for inflammation in your cardiovascular system, because it definitely helps bring the inflammatory markers to a normal level. So that's my point of view. And probably some people are going to crucify me, but it's okay. Because I want to take away the shame and the guilt, especially for women, because we already have been shamed a lot. Because when we get into perimenopause and menopause, we are crazy, we are distempered, we don't have patience, and that's not it, people. It's a lack of hormone.
And I think what the point too is that you're not taking it from this glitz and glamour side of just do it and just take a shot and everything's good. Your problems are solved. This is getting into yourself and using something specifically for, a beneficial reason. And, that's the difference where I think this walking through the mall and seeing a picture with this will solve all your problems. If you want to get it for cheaper, go to this website.
This will not solve any of your problems because no diet is going to solve your problems. Because again, losing the weight is not the difficult portion. Keeping the weight, keeping it lost is what is difficult. Because keeping the weight loss, keeping reversing disease, keeping doing the strategies, keeping the commitment of the hard choices daily, is what is difficult. And that's when it starts in your mind. And that's what I talk in my program. Like, it is not body, mind, and soul. It is soul connecting to what is the reason in your heart that is important for you to do it daily for the rest of your life, because there is no final destination. The final destination is when you drop your body and release your soul. So it's so challenging your mind, your beliefs, your thoughts, your stories, your triggers, your fears, your trauma, and shifting your mind, collaborating and building a rock solid foundation for the body strategies to be breakthrough in sustainable success.
Well, it's so that's I like that, because like what I often see people, especially when I'm doing like spiritual or energetic work, a lot of people are either way too trying to be enlightened, and they're forgetting that we're grounded to the earth, and the heart is the center. It's arguably the mind. I mean, there's neurons in your heart, and they're, the new research is saying that like that is an active mind.
Yes.
And I mean, it's interesting how it's in the center, and that's the balance of the spirit or soul and the earth and the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I think that's what gets lost with sort of I don't want to say even medical interventions. When something is glorified, like a GLP-1, and people are just blindly led to this savior status, and then with no education.
The savior is you. You
Yes.
are your savior. You become your savior when you choose the tools, resources, and strategies that work for you by experimenting, and you use them for your peace, for your health, for your growth, for getting better and better. And you know that because you're going to feel in your body, right? So if you are using in a way that it's going to be damaging your body, even minimally, you are not using it to the positive. You are not using it to the best that it can be used. And you should be, and this person who is not using it to the right way should be ashamed. That's the person who should be ashamed. You know why? Because when you do when you choose shitty choices in things that are supposed to be positive, you are taking away the chance from someone who really needs it. And would be using it in a proper way, because then it becomes shameful. It becomes a source of guilt. It becomes a source of judgment because you are not doing it correctly. The person who really needs it is ashamed, is afraid, so that's your responsibility. That's when you should stop and really take action, not only for you, but for the people around you who could be using it for them to live a better life.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's a responsibility for us all, not only with ourselves, but just understand that this is way beyond now, especially when it's I don't know what it is, $184 billion industry. You have to take that into perspective. And I think a lot of people, especially if they're feeling side effects, or if they're feeling like what you were mentioning, like the possible benefits, but do they outweigh the side effects? If you're feeling side effects, it's almost like there's sort of an attitude or an air around them that the side effects, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the nausea. Don't worry about the thing. Just, this is what you need. And I mean, when we have Oprah laughing about it, like, oh, I came off them and I gained 20 pounds and then I went right back on them. And it's almost like this laissez-faire, I guess I'll need them for the rest of my life. Wow. I'm like looking at that going, what is this message that we're, sending? It sort of take no mention of metabolic health, no mention of the importance of nutrition or the importance of protein, just, and that's where I have a problem, because there's so many people that get lost because they either have to stop these things because of side effects, but their insurance, they were covered and then they weren't. Like I was doing some research from Australia. If you're a diabetic and you need a prescription, it's about $80 a month. If you're not, you're paying $600 to $1,000, and that was in Australia, what I was doing. all of a sudden, if your finances changed and you're hooked on something, you haven't changed a thing in your life.
Oh
What
yeah,
happens?
no, and that's why that's what I just said. You start with a low dose,
Yeah.
you keep it as low as possible, and you start taking action together with the medication helping you. You start taking action in changing your mindset. You start taking action
Hmm.
on every time that you open the fridge, you ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Do I need a hug? You start
Yeah.
taking action on prepping your food. You start taking action of cleaning your pantry. You start taking action and getting food that is proper, protein and good fats. You start taking action on walking, sun, sleep. You just start taking action. If your only action is to apply the injection on you, you are you
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the wrong action.
If
Well,
you
I
put,
mean, yeah.
even if you take that for the rest of your life,
Hmm.
you are signing a contract of failure,
Yeah.
because that's going to lead to muscle mass, and that's going to lead to you keeping on eating all the things that are bad. So you will never really have a good value of insulin or a good value of blood sugar, and you will always have visceral fat. Even if you look leaner, you might be the thin outside, fat inside, and that's not what you want.
Yeah. No
So
doubt.
really, really take action. Use the medication or use anything else that you might be using.
Yeah.
Some people might be using acupuncture. Some people might be
Yeah.
using hypnosis. Some
Hmm.
people might be using any other kind of treatment to lose weight. And if it's working for you, great. But
Yeah.
always, 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 it's it's an adjunct, right? It's supposed to be added to something else, and the
A tool.
something else is nutrition, movement, and neuroplasticity. Nutrition, movement, and neuroplasticity. So this is one tool in the arsenal of tools
Mm.
that you have.
Yes. And now for the people, like I'm gonna sort of I'm gonna lead you here for a minute. I kind of know the answers, but I want people to hear it from you. When they rebound after they come off the GLP-1s, why does that happen?
Well, I haven't studied that much, okay, because I'm researching the GLP-1s more for like, okay, uh, the brain health, because I'm
Mm.
deeply studying like memory and small vessel ischemic disease and brain atrophic changes. So when they rebound, what I would say is anytime you do some kind of diet, you are going to rebound a little bit,
Mm.
right? Because somehow you are eating less calories, right? However, because that's how people think diet should be. So that's what I'm saying. When you are on a GLP-1, before you rebound or before you leave the medication, choose something that is sustainable, not a calorie restriction. You're not
Mm.
gonna, you have to choose something that it's not going to be a restriction. You have to choose something that you are doing your fasting, you are having autophagy, you are healing your body. You are doing like carnivore or keto, and you are like
Prioritizing
eating
protein.
when you are hungry, stopping when you are not eating because of the clock.
Yeah.
Eat before the sunset. So when you rebound, it's because you have not changed your habits. Most
Yeah.
likely you have not changed your habits. You are relying on the medication, turning off the noise of the food, and now
Exactly.
you don't have that anymore. The noise of the food is controlling you. And
As
the
that.
noise of the food
Yeah.
is the work that I'm talking about. Is the
Because
work of
food noise before there was all this didn't exist. That's something that's been a modern day thing. And I like to say, like, if you take an elastic band and stretch it as hard as you can and just let it go, if you didn't change anything along the way, that elastic band is going to snap back harder than ever. Because
yeah,
if you've been suppressed, you're pushing down all this stuff. But
yeah,
if you are, like you were mentioning, focusing on nutrient dense food, I mean, and it doesn't even have to have a category. Not
yeah.
dogmatic, real nutrition, bioavailable nutrients,
Protein,
protein.
protein, protein, not negotiable. Hydration, not
Yeah.
negotiable. good fats, and then clean your pantry from everything that it's bad, no matter what kind of diet you're doing. Because
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of diet you're doing. Processed foods, ultra processed foods, vegetable oils, sugar, and alcohol shouldn't be in any kind of diet, period.
No, that's it.
Right?
I mean,
So doesn't matter if it's carnivore, if it's vegan, if it's paleo, if it's keto, if it's low carb, processed foods, ultra processed foods, sugar, alcohol, drugs, smoke, vape, milk, and vegetable oils shouldn't be there, period.
yeah.
Right?
And
Period.
and that's that, and that's yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times,
And muscle training and muscle training, no matter what kind of diet you're doing or not doing, should be there too, period.
yeah, yeah. And
Right?
if you don't feel, and that's the thing, like maybe we can talk about too, is like the feeling of being human. Like when we're getting into our 40s, 50s, 60s, and you don't feel like doing anything, you don't feel like getting out of bed, you don't feel, that's not normal. I don't believe anyway. I don't believe that's a human being. We should be uh, vigorous
Energy, vitality,
and
yes,
vitality and this life force energy that I've seen a lot of people reclaim in this space. Everybody's diet's been a little different, whether you eat blueberries or don't. That's not what I'm talking
yes,
about. But when you
yes,
start getting out of bed in the morning and you're like, yes, I'm alive, that's what we
yes,
want.
yes. And I am guilty on that because I want to build so many things. I am like so excited about. I want to work as a radiologist 10 hours a day. And then I want to
Mm.
have a community in Portuguese and in English. And then I want to be speaking about this because it's my heart is there. And I want to speak about grief because my heart is there. And then suddenly I look and I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But again, if it wasn't for what I'm eating, like today I woke up at 3:26 a.m.
Wow.
because I was thinking about something really important that I want to make happen, that I want
Mhm.
to make it happen. And then by 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep yet. And I'm like, whatever. I got up and I went to the gym. So I did my exercise, came back home, and then I was feeling a little bit sleepy, and I'm like, just gonna take a nap now. So then I took a nap. So again, completely not the right thing to do, but I still have the energy to be here talking with you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, we
because
appreciate you coming on.
and it's
That's
because of the strategies, it's because somehow I only have 1 hour of sleep debt in my Oura ring, which is great. So somehow, yeah, somehow I'm kind of sleeping well, and I do my walking every day. So my body keeps, and I have ADHD, so the lack of dopamine doesn't help. But anyway, I keep building the energy. So
Mhm.
that's so important that you build. It's not about, I hate when people say in grief, I need to find myself again.
Mm.
I need to find joy. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to find joy. You are not going to find yourself. You are not going to find joy. You have to build yourself again. You have to build joy and peace again. You
Mm.
have to build health for you again. And it's
Mhm.
your choice. They are your choice.
And
Right?
that's
Yes.
something that can't be monitored or tracked. Like we look at apps for everything, and it's like a calorie deficit doesn't bring you joy.
No,
Like
no.
like sacrificing everything, white knuckling yourself through any kind of protocol, intervention, exercise program does not bring you joy. You can't track the stuff that you're talking about right now. You feel it.
No.
You feel
You
it.
know, I had done so many courses in this journey of like becoming me again, building me again. So I did courses with Tony Robbins and with Mel Robbins, and Mel Robbins, I love Mel Robbins. And she says, uh, boring, repetition is boring. And doesn't matter. You should do the repetition because the repetition is routine, and routine is where you feel safe. And then she
Mm,
says that, man, ah, for you to do things in your life that you are going to keep doing over and over and over again, and they are going to become who you are, you have to make them fun. You have to make them easy. You have to make them joyful and enjoyable. Joyful and enjoyable, I included that. She says fun and easy. But how do you do that? You do that first, connecting to why this is important for you in your heart. Okay. When you connect to why this is important for you, I don't want to die like my grandma, my mom, or my dad. That's way more important than fit on a jeans size 10. So when I connect to what is important for me, honor them, right? Honor them. I sit down and I write again, pen and paper. I sit down and I write what are the things that I already do. I already walk. I already get hydration. I already take more or less good care of my sleep. And son, what are the things that I listen and I read and Tony and Dr. Rosa are discussing that I think are good? Oh, processed food, sugar, alcohol, blah, 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 blah. And I write everything. And then I look at the list and I see what can I put together that it will really be fun. I'm going to go for a walk without my phone and just be with my thoughts. Allow my creative Anna Rosa come up and out. I'm going to go for a walk with my partner. And at that moment, we are going to be talking and enjoying each other. And that's going to be after dinner because then I am getting my 10 to 15 minutes walk after food, which decreases the spike of blood sugar and insulin. So that's awesome. And I am also enjoying the sunset. And then I'm gonna go for
Yes.
and then I'm gonna go for and I'm eating before the sunset too. So see, many things I already stacked and you didn't even pay attention, but I stacked all these things that are building health. And that's fun and easy and joyful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And when I wake up at 4 a.m., I don't want to go to the gym, but I know that going to the gym is important for me. So I went to the gym without wanting or without feeling it. But when I finished the gym, I had a very good energy. And that's called activation energy. You tell your brain, shh, and you do it, and you build your life.
Well, I did that. I did that with my cold showers. I started a New Year's resolution about 3 years ago, maybe even 4, because it's just part of me now. I started taking a cold shower. Probably the only New Year's resolution I've ever been able to just like completely dominate. I still take a cold shower every time I have my shower, and then I turn it on cold.
I know. I feel
it's part of me now, which is wild, and I don't have to think, but it's that sort of thing that just becomes you as you get used to being you.
it becomes you because it's fun, it's joyful, and you get out of the shower. It's kind of very interesting. Like when that cold water hits you, oh my God, I jump and I yell at the shower like, ooh, 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 ooh. But when you get out of the shower, it's a completely different shower than if you don't have the cold water.
I can't. I can't take a shower now without going cold. It's beautiful.
You feel alive.
I just remember actually something Gabrielle Lyon said was like, you got to do uncomfortable things too. You got to test yourself. And just like, it's like leg day for the gym bros out there. Leg day sucks, but just do it anyway. Just get it done.
Because if you don't do uncomfortable things by choice, you will have to do uncomfortable things when they hit you. Right? They will come. They will come. They will come.
And I mean, I've found like some kind of mindfulness practice, whether it's breath work, meditation. I mean, anybody that doesn't meditate, that says meditation is stupid, you can kind of see where it's coming from. You've never done it, or you've never sort of given yourself the chance to find what works for you. But that changes you. That changed me. Breath work led me to meditation, which led me to yoga, which led me to, and now it's like I said, this cold shower. It's just part of me now that is, and I think because my diet obviously affected me physically, but the brain function now allows me to get deeper into myself.
Absolutely.
And I'm not angry anymore. I used to be emotional, angry. Now I could care less. I park so far away from anything to just get my steps in. If I have to walk upstairs, I don't take the elevator. If it's anything, within reason, I'm not walking up 28 floors. But these are just little things, like you're saying. I just challenge myself to park as far away at Costco as I
And
can.
suddenly you start doing that because you do that.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
think about parking in front of the grocery store
Yeah.
anymore.
And it's
You
funny when
don't
you're
think
with,
about taking the elevator for three levels of it,
yeah.
right? You don't anymore.
And it's funny when you're with somebody that doesn't, because they're in the
Yeah.
car with you. They're like, what? Well, there's a parking spot right there. I know. I'm going to the back, and they get bent out of shape. Like, well, it's closer. Like, well, that's the idea. You know,
Yes,
it's pretty
absolutely.
funny.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah. I love that. I love that we build, I say like there are again the painful, the peaceful, right? There are choices that will bring you pain and there are choices that are going to bring you peace. You choose the choices that are bringing you pain or peace. You're not going to choose all the time the peaceful ones, and that's fine because you are human. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to progress. And
Mm-hmm.
you are meant to learn from when you not choose peaceful, because then you readjust and you reset the plan and the process. It's not about you failing, it's just reassessing what should I do next that will be easier, funnier, and more, yeah, right, for
Yeah.
me to get to this side, the side of the peace. And just keep doing it and just keep doing it, and keep doing with compassion. And commitment and consistency is more important than intensity. And like I used to tell myself, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to strength training 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then sometimes Monday I was exhausted, or sometimes Wednesday I had a research meeting and that wouldn't work. And I would be frustrated, feeling like I'm failing. Or my brain would tell me, hey, see, you told yourself you're going to do, you did not.
Yeah.
Old pattern, old behavior. So then now I
Mm-hmm.
tell myself, I readjusted the plan, the process, because I'm not a failure. So then I tell myself, I go to do strength training 3 times a week. It might be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It
Yeah.
might be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It might be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which probably is not the proper one, but I'm doing 3 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is way easier because I built flexibility.
Well,
And that's what you are supposed to build around everything you are doing, flexibility.
yeah. And I mean, I do that with my meal times now too. I'm not restricted to any meal times. Sometimes, like, I usually don't eat before 2. That
Hmm.
usually, I usually eat once a day, but that depends on my day. And if I feel like waking up and I'm like, I'm gonna have some breakfast, why not? I don't hold anything sort of rigidly, especially I find when it's created by man. These rules and
Yeah,
stipulations were created by man. I'm questioning that. I'm like, no, I want to be on my own terms. Why do I have to do that right now? No, but
yeah. Gary Zukov, which I love him, he says from the seat of the soul and the heart of the soul, he says, right and wrong are human words. They are judgmental.
mm,
It was never about being right or wrong. It was about being peaceful or painful.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
So you have to choose what's peaceful and painful.
And I mean, I
And
think,
what you said about meditation, I would say I was one of these people that thought that meditation is so horrible because I couldn't stop. For me, meditation would be like stop, close
yeah,
your eyes, feel your body, don't think about anything. And I have ADHD. How am I going to not think about anything? That's impossible. My brain's thinking all the time, blah, 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 blah. So then I realized, wait a second, there
that's
are
meditation.
different kinds of meditation. Meditation could be me sitting outside and practicing the five senses.
Yes,
Meditation could be me walking in silence and stillness without my phone for 10 minutes.
awareness.
Exactly. Meditation could be me journaling.
Yeah.
Meditation could be me practicing gratitude before I go to bed or when I
Yes.
wake up.
Yeah.
Meditation could be the breathing exercise from for the vagus nerve, like
Mm-hmm.
I am safe, I am grounded, I am okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, choose again.
Once again, meditation is a word that we labeled something, but that's not
Exactly.
necessarily what it is,
Yeah.
right? And
So
that,
again, experiment and choose what
mm-hmm.
works for you. Maybe
Yeah.
sitting down and closing my arms like that and trying to not think about anything is not who I am now. It's not who
Mm-hmm.
I am yet. Might never be who I am. That's okay. I like
Yeah.
walking alone in the silence.
You know, it's fun too, as I do this sometimes, and it's wild how it works. Is you just close your eyes and you laugh at yourself because you're going to try and be still when your brain's going 15 miles an hour. And as soon as you ask yourself, what am I going to think of next? Uh, the brain just starts to go, oh yeah, well, what? I'm like, come on, tell me, what am I going to think of next? What am I
That's
thinking?
good,
And
right?
you're actually telling
Challenging.
the to settle down. It's funny because then you start laughing at yourself, going, I can't think of anything,
Yep.
and yeah, it's just one of those loops that seem to happen. So it's all
Yes,
good.
I
Just
like that too.
being with yourself and comfortable with yourself, and it's a process and a journey, and steps forward, there's steps backward. I think a lot of
Everything,
the stuff that is to just continue learning and
everything in
experiencing.
life is step forward and step backward. Everything you want to be good at, you have to repeat. I wouldn't be a doctor if I wouldn't have done like 14, 20 years of training,
Wow.
right? So, and just one thing, because that's what Tony really wanted to talk about, and I always divert from what he's talking every time he's giving me, and then I feel bad. But anyway, um, if you are thinking about using a GLP-1, if you are using a GLP-1, if you are stopping a GLP-1, if you stop, then you are having good results. If you stop, then you are not having good results. I would say, first, don't feel ashamed and don't feel guilty. Second, check with yourself, if you are in any kind of process, what kind of doctor or coach could help you in this process, to be using the right dose, to be spacing the doses, to be like really building a different way of thinking and shifting and acting for you to build sustainable success through all these steps, even after you finished and you are rebounding. Even if you have to start again in a low dose, just for you to then get to the mindset and feel better with yourself. I
Yeah.
don't know. Every person is a person. So just evaluate, but don't make this evaluation you and someone who has no clue and is just selling the product for you. Make this evaluation with a coach that understands, a doctor, a provider that understands, someone who will look at you and say, this is a leverage, not
Mm.
a crutch. How you are going to build your life around this that will help you to build sustainable success. Because even if you would be using that for life, you would have to restructure your lifestyle too, because you would want muscles and bones,
Yeah.
right? And you would want to be able to open your fridge and decide what you want to eat instead of your boredom or your anger or your fear or your doubt or your lack of value or your abandonment issues or I'm not enough, eating, deciding what you're going to eat next.
Wow. Yes. And that's beautifully said. Like that's just kind of what I really, really encourage people to do is to listen to the people that are involved in the metabolic health space. And that's like Dr. Rosa, words of wisdom that you can tell that that's coming from the right place. And I think a lot of the glitz and glamour, like I mentioned before, are coming and maybe tempting you or guiding you the wrong way. And it's all about awareness and knowledge and learning yourself about yourself, using something to get to a place. And if you have to stop, or there's, whatever way you got there, it still must be, it's
Yes.
unique, it's yours. And you're going to
Yes.
have
And
to,
and you don't deserve to be judged,
no.
even if you are using it in a wrong way.
Yeah, of
Even
course.
then, you don't deserve to be judged, although you should be ashamed of that
Hmm.
because you are making the wrong choices, but you don't deserve to be judged.
No.
So it's you and you. It's you and you. My mom would say, when you lie, you're not lying to me, you're lying to yourself,
Yeah.
because you are the one who's going to pay the consequences, not me.
Yeah.
So, like, when you are making your choices and decisions, don't put yourself in a position to be judged. Don't put yourself in a position of shame or in a position of guilt. Just make your decisions consciously and make your decisions planning around and have compassion and commitment. Nothing in this life is completely black and completely white.
Yeah.
Nothing in this life is like black and white, not even death. You know, we were born knowing that we are going to die, and that's a certainty, but um, that's a relative certainty, not an absolute certainty, because our
Mm.
bodies are going to die, but our souls will never die.
That is for
So
another podcast, Dr. Ana Rosa, and we can go there because I would love to go there. That's something
sounds
that's,
good. So
you
see, not even death is an absolute truth. It's a
know,
relative truth. But
and
there is one truth that you should never forget. Your body is the soul, is the vessel of your soul.
mm,
And you should use your body to honor this experience that you are having here,
yeah,
because that's yours, only yours.
yeah.
Even if you believe in reincarnation, that's going to be a completely different experience, a completely different body. So again, this one here at this time, at this moment, you are responsible for that.
Dr. Ana Rosa, it has been an absolute pleasure hanging out
Thank
with you.
you.
And I actually talked about visceral fat, which is yay.
And we actually talk about GLP-1s. Yay, Dr. Rosa doesn't talk too much. Woohoo!
No, we love it. That's I do really appreciate your time, and it's nice. It's nice to talk to someone in the field that cares about it so passionately, and that has done
I do
so
care.
many good things. And obviously, with your practice, with your ness, you're helping people see themselves, which is, I think, uh, a beautiful art that a lot of people sort of get lost in translation. They just, they have a rule book, or they have a guidebook, or they have a timestamp diet plan. I think, you bring this beautiful whole presence to the whole thing. And not only that, make it easy for people to understand, which is, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. A lot of people say, what the hell do you know about cholesterol? But it's nice to kind of know something and have that common kindred spirit that is seeing it every day. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate
Thank
you.
you. It's my honor. And I do care about it.
Yeah.
I do care because life, life, life will always have something hitting us, right?
Mm. Yeah,
So
no
you
doubt.
have to be prepared to fall and stand up.
And for everybody that when we were talking about, when we were organizing this, Dr. Rosa was like, we may need a series. So
Yeah.
we may need a series, because I would love to get, maybe the next time we get together, we talk about gratitude, and I don't mean to be morbid, but we'll talk about gratitude, spirit, death, and that
Sounds
whole
good.
human
Oh, that's
existence,
not
what it
morbid.
is.
That's not morbid. That's certainty.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna die. Everybody's gonna
Yeah.
die. So
And
make sure
and you
that's
know
gonna
what?
be a good one.
It's funny because, like, the more I'm appreciating that, the more I'm enjoying my life, which is kind of fun.
Exactly.
It's interesting. But with that, we'll save it for the next one, because I'd love to
Sounds
have you
good.
back on, and we'll
Thank
have
you,
a
everyone. I love
where
you
do
all. I sure do with my heart.
where do people find you? And
People find me on YouTube, Ana Rosa Gratitude, on Instagram, Ana Rosa Gratitude, and they found me, if you speak Portuguese, in my Brazilian page, Ana Rosa Gratidão.
awesome.
Please, 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 I ask you to share with your friends, with your family, with the world. Tony, Anna, Mark. I ask you for you to share our work. Kyle, Caroline, Sean. Why? Because we need to come together. We definitely need to speak louder and louder for us to build this revolution for health and this revolution for life. We need to change things faster. And it only happens when we are together speaking, screaming with our hearts. So let's follow us, subscribe to our YouTube, share to your friends, follow us on Instagram, share to your friends. It's not about um, it's not about number of followers for us. It's about the people we are reaching with a message that will make an impact and a difference for life. It's about the number of followers for the media, right? For YouTube or for Instagram, because if you don't have the followers they want, you don't have the amount of, you can't do the service the way you want. So the more you help us with increasing our reach, the more we could give more service, right? Yeah, because the doors open in an easier way.
And that's why I've created, it's in the works, we're getting it all together, the Life After GLP-1s. It's not about any kind of judgment, shame, guilt. It's about awareness and empowering. I want to help people like Dr. Rosa empower people to reclaim their human birthright to be healthy. And it's possible. Yeah. We see it every day with the people we talk to, our clients and patients. We see impossible become possible. And I think that's a valuable thing. Dr. Rosa, thank you for your time.
I know you were saying life after GLP-1, right? But I would encourage people, life while you are.
Exactly. Yes.
Because then you are preparing yourself.
And that's
right?
it. And that's, you know, as I launched this with the platform, it's where you're at. It doesn't matter. For the people that have been sucked into something that they didn't really understand, to have a little bit of awareness and support and help and build a community with people that can talk and be open and without judgment. So and Dr. Rosa, thank you for mentioning that at the end, because I loved it. You tied it back in, which I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will do this again if you will have me. And I love it. Thank you.